Hello and welcome back to round 6 of the AOR F1 2018 Equal Cards Career Mode. Yeah, not AOR. The Equal Cards Career Mode where I do all the talking and Shanyonix does all the driving. So yeah, once again we're going to retire as soon as possible. So we can see all of the best drivers on the grid battling it out in equal machinery. So yeah, so once again, this is actually one of Shanyonix's favourite tracks. So should be quite interesting to see how he does. And well, unfortunately, he is still at the back for the time being.
I can't take it flat through Abbey for some reason.
No, I don't know, but anyway, you can see Hamilton now at the front, but Perez as well, actually P2, battling it out with Lewis Hamilton. So yeah, it's between those two battling for the lead. Hulkenberg in third as well. So the two ex-Force India teammates doing well to be in the top 3. Apart from that, you've got your usual top 8 really. Leclerc, Verstappen, Ricciardo, Bottas up there. Raikkonen, it's just Vettel who's outside the top 10 for some reason, and Alonso. So both of them 10th and 12th respectively, so not being the best for them. And Vettel of course needs to get his act together, as right now it's Leclerc who actually leads Alonso in the championship. Even so, I don't really care about that, to be honest, because every race it's changing dramatically. So it's still anyone's game, but of course you do want to be finished as high as possible. As you can see, Perez is still second and Hulkenberg still first. Third, as he actually drops to fourth, so as soon as I jinx him. Raikkonen actually right now doing quite well in third place.
I'm very wide there.
As you can see, Bottas as well, also in the top 5. Leclerc will round out the top 6. As wow, you retired from the session. So hopefully you don't do that in the race. But once again, it's going to be another last to first for Shanyonix. And unfortunately, we're not going to see the end of qualifying. Even so, I don't know. I think Hamilton would have got pole, but it's going to be, well, we'll see as Shanyonix loads. But yeah, I mean, once again, yeah, Vettel and Leclerc seem to be struggling in that qualifying, but of course they could have come back in the last sector. We don't exactly know.
Yes,
apparently I'm waiting for players.
Yeah, I'm just loading through cutscenes and stuff.
Okay, just making sure.
Right.
So yeah, as you can see, Hamilton actually did get pole in the end from Sergio Perez, who was actually less than a 10th away from Hamilton. Kimi Raikkonen also within a 10th, and Hulkenberg, the top 4 literally separated by a 10th. There's a whole 10th back to Valtteri Bottas. Of course, nowhere near the top 4, but still doing quite a good job to be 5th place. Leclerc, ever so consistent in 6th. Of course, he found his form last race. He was pretty much helped by the safety car, but again, he did win that race quite comfortably in the end. You can see Verstappen P7 and Ricciardo P8, but as we know, the grid means absolutely nothing when you can gain so much in the pit stops. I mean, we've had people go from 1st to 11th because everyone's so tight. As you can see, even so, there is actually quite a big gap between the top 8 and 9, as we're so used to seeing. Ocon 4 tenths behind Hamilton. Alonso as well. Disappointing performance from him. But I think the most disappointing performance is Sebastian Vettel. Whole 5 tenths behind his real life championship counterpart. As we scroll down, you can see all the dead weights at the bottom, as per usual. Van Dorn, Ericsson, and where's Hartley? Hartley's actually 11th, so Hartley and Ericsson not doing too badly. So Hartley could actually be up there, believe it or not. The two Haas drivers really struggling. And yeah, Sainz, he doesn't like qualifying, this boy. I don't know what it is with him. But yeah, once again, he's near the bottom. But we've seen time and time again, he's near the top 5 in the championship because he keeps finishing near the front, even after starting quite near the back. So yeah, I think he's one to watch. I think he's probably going to be gaining the most positions. Probably Shanyonix as well, to be honest, because he always comes through the field. I don't know how, but he went from 19th to 6th in 6 laps in Austria.
The safety car slows them down so much.
Yeah. Yeah, but you can't overtake on the safety car.
They can't restart. They can't restart. Like,
oh, really?
Their lap times were terrible. That's why I went a bit aggressive, but you know.
Yeah, a bit.
Just a tad. As you'll see in my video.
Yeah. So we're going to retire from the start as the 5 lights go out. Once again, Shanyonix playing it cool. He's actually going to go let everyone go into turn 1. But actually, there's no yellow flags this time, so I don't think he needed to. As you can see actually in the front, Lewis Hamilton maintains his lead over Perez. The only position change is Max Verstappen on Ricciardo right now. As you can see in Perez right behind Hamilton. As we see the position change, you can see Shanyonix up 6 positions. Yeah, I think he's done a dive bomb and a half.
I got taken out.
As he's actually been crushed again. So
was Gasly one idiot?
So yeah, once again, Shanyonix having the short straw as he actually gets a
stop go for catching his sign.
And there's a virtual safety car already, so I don't know what you caused, but
Look, yeah, basically, Gasly came on my inside. I was turning in, and then he just Push me out.
So yeah, now you can see everything's neutralized as a virtual safety car. So you can actually see the biggest movers and shakers. And right now it is Marcus Ericsson who is the biggest loser, apart from Pierre Gasly, but of course he was in the crash. And Ericsson, I mean, this guy, I mean, even when he starts up front, he can't finish strongly. And already he's lost 2 positions. And as a result, Magnussen and Stoffel Van Dorn are up 2 positions, and so is Grosjean, who's actually had quite a good start as well. So yeah, as we sort of wait for the virtual safety car to sort of end, you can see a massive train already. Verstappen down to Vettel. So there really is quite a bit of a gap between Verstappen and Leclerc. So I don't know if Leclerc just pulled that gap before the VSC, even so the VSC came out quite early. As you can see, back to the racing speed. You can see the top 4 stay as they are. To be honest, the top 12 stay as they are on lap 1. Of course, everything neutralised by the VSC. So for once we actually could have a race where the top qualifyings are the top finishers. As you can see, Shadionix actually gets Gasly, but he is 2 seconds behind Sainz. But I don't think he has damage. He has got a 5 second stop go.
No, I don't. Yeah, I have
to nurse.
penalty, but not damage.
So yeah, you should still be able to come back. I mean, it is a good track for you. As you can see, the top 5 quite close together. Hamilton not pulling away like he normally does. Of course, he doesn't really have a chance as a result of the virtual safety car. But I think the biggest gap right now in the top 10 is between Verstappen and Leclerc. So Verstappen is beginning to reel him in quite slowly. Yeah. So as you have a look down again, you can see actually there's quite a big gap between Ericsson and Van Dorn. So Ericsson, of course, had a really bad start, and now he's coming onto tap from Shadionix. He's already got Grosjean and Sainz for that matter. But Marcus Ericsson well behind the rest of the pack. And that's another thing. Vettel and Alonso haven't actually moved any positions. To be honest, the top 12, as I've said, have actually not changed positions at all. So there'll be 1 or 2 moves on the straight in. So I'm sure Raikkonen should be able to get Perez, as Perez is slowly beginning to drop back from Hamilton. But as we saw, I think last race, I think Hamilton was in the lead. And of course, he got screwed up by the safety car. I mean, everyone got screwed up by the safety car, really. And the pit lane. As always, the pit lane really basically spitting out a race winner. But yeah, if Hamilton could just pull away like he did in China, maybe he can get far enough ahead so he sort of negates the safety car. Even so, we saw a few races ago, I think he was 4 or 5 seconds ahead, and he still lost out in the pit lane. So yeah, he's trying to pull away out there, but you can see there's a gap already between Hülkenberg and Raikkonen. It's not a massive gap. He's still in DRS, but that is a gap between the formers. You can see Carlos Sainz actually gets Romain Grosjean right at the back of the field. They're now right behind Shadionix, who's about to overtake Ericsson, who's already 6 seconds behind Van Dorn. You can see Raikkonen, as I said, actually overtaking Perez in an unconventional place into Abbey, into turn 1. So, yeah, a very unconventional overtake from Kimi Raikkonen, and that's why we didn't spot it. I wasn't really expecting an overtake on the straight, but of course Perez just been caught napping, and as a result he could have come under a fire from Hülkenberg behind as we go down the straight, just trying to analyse the gaps really. I think the closest one is between Hülkenberg and Perez, but Hülkenberg not going to quite get Perez as we look down the field. I think Alonso as well near the back of Ocon, but nothing much really happening. As you can see, Shadionix now up 4 positions, but he's got a whole almighty gap to the cars ahead. But once he gets onto the back of the train, he should be able to make some headway. But you can see the train now extends all the way up to P3, as Max Verstappen now is on the back of Leclerc, as a result of, I think, Perez just holding everyone up after getting overtaken by Raikkonen. But yeah, Raikkonen just trying to pull away, but you can see Hamilton has got a bit of a lead now as a result of the battles. It was 1.3 seconds at the beginning of the lap, now it's 1.5, so Raikkonen beginning to drop back, so it's not too bad from the Finn. He's actually doing quite well in P2. So yeah, that's something good to see, because he's not doing too well in the championship. Meanwhile, Hülkenberg is doing quite well. He didn't have a good last race, but he has been doing quite well. Apart from that, I think he's even got a win, or I think he got a P2 in Canada and a P3 in Spain. So
quick.
as you can see, Shadionix now battling with Sainz. Of course, he has got a big cap to Van Dorn, but Sainz and Shadionix going side by side. So I think Sainz has got the better of Shadionix. Shadionix actually backs out, so unfortunately you're not able to see that battle. And so it looked interesting on the split times. As you can see, right, once again, Raikkonen trying to pull away from Perez, but Perez is keeping with him, and as a result, we could actually see another swap position between these guys. Of course, these guys are the only movers and shakers inside the top 10, even so Vettel has actually got past Hartley, so might be putting a lot of pressure on Fernando Alonso, as Raikkonen is continuing to drop back from Hamilton. And yeah, Perez not close enough to make a move. I don't think anyone is on the straight by the looks of things. Everything being neutralised, of course. When you're in a DRS train, everyone has DRS on each other, so you can't exactly make big headway. As we look back, you can see Sebastian Vettel again, the only guy inside the top 12 to actually make a move. Even so, you can see lots of green hours outside the top 12, and that's because Ericsson and Gasly are battling it out for the battle for the worst. And right now it goes to Ericsson. I don't know what it is with this guy. He qualified P13, now he's in last place. And it's not even like he's been in an incident. Gasly has. So this guy has no excuses whatsoever. As Sainz and Shady Onyx are trying to catch up to Van Dorn, but they've got a long way to catch up. But it is Van Dorn we're talking about, so it shouldn't be long. As you can see, Perez now right behind Raikkonen. I saw the gap closing to about half a tenth. You see Ocon on Ricciardo. Ocon actually gets position on Ricciardo. Slightly too late to catch it. So you can see a few people into the pit already on lap 4, and it's all the leaders. So should be interesting to see what actually happens, because of course Hamilton has been screwed up before. You can see actually Raikkonen in the pits as well. So is he going to get held up now? Because he didn't have a massive gap, and you can see he is getting held in the pits. Is he going to find a gap? I think he's going to have to come out behind Ricciardo. No, he's going to be held even longer. And will he actually lose the lead of the race? It depends. He actually still comes out ahead of Raikkonen, but he lost quite a lot of time into the pits. He will still actually lead the race from Raikkonen. From actually, I think that's Ricciardo, who's actually gained a few positions, from Perez and then Hulkenberg. So a few changes in the pit lane, not as much as per usual, as Leclerc actually comes out right at the back of the field, actually getting overtaken by Alonso. So I think they're the main real movers and shakers in the pit lane. So not as many overtakes as per usual, but you can see Ricciardo gaining both on Perez and Hulkenberg. But apart from that, not many switches, not as many switches as usual. But of course, we've got a second round of pit stops coming this lap. Of course, with the likes of the front runners, as Sainz is now falling back to 7 seconds behind Van Dorn. So him and Shady Onyx have a lot of work to do if they want to get themselves into the points, especially with Shady Onyx 5 seconds stop go. As we look towards the front again, you can see Hartley coming on to tap from Magnussen. So of course Hartley trying to finish in the points. As you can see actually at the front, once again it's Valtteri Bottas. So this guy's benefited the most from the pit lane. And he's of course trying to go for the overcut. So him and Max could actually be coming out in clean air. As you can see Ocon, he's already got one Red Bull. He's going to try to get the other into the pit lane, but it's not going to quite work. As you can see Magnussen as well, not quite getting Hartley, but he's going to stay out another lap. And I think he's one of the only guys, to be honest. So he's actually going to take the lead of the race, I think. So Kevin Magnussen will take the lead. I think is Sainz staying out as well? I don't even know, because he's so far behind now. He's coming in, and so's Shady Onyx. So I think Kevin Magnussen, the only guy staying out. So that's a ballsy strategy there. I don't know about Grosjean. Grosjean surely must be coming in, because he's, yeah, sure enough, he is the teammate. And you can see Gasly is also staying out. So
oh no, I'm taking my stop go.
Yeah, what's the problem? No, because they change your tyres as well, don't they? They change your tyres. It's not like a real life drive-through. It's not a drive-through, is it?
No, I thought it was.
Oh, okay. So
I got held up a bit.
So yeah, more chaos in the pit. So as we emerge, you can see net leaders. We've got Raikkonen, Hamilton. I think there was Vettel who came out just behind Bottas. So Vettel's gained a lot, but he's actually been overtaken by Ricciardo. He's been caught napping there, and Vettel and Ricciardo have gained a lot out of this out of the pit lane. Vettel gaining 5 positions already, and that was just on 1 pit straight. So for once, the good teams actually having really good pit stops, and you can see that actually the net top 6 now. So what's happened to the Perez and Hulkenberg? Meanwhile, Hartley is actually inside the top 10, and we still got Gasly and Magnussen to pit. So this is looking really interesting. And so Magnussen is actually staying out really long, and he started 15th. He could actually be in the points now, because he's got a 24-second gap to Hamilton. I think it is a really long pit lane at Silverstone. As Gasly has no chance really. He's 20 seconds behind Magnussen. He's nearly getting caught by Hamilton already. As we look towards the fight for the net P2, Bottas once again finds himself gaining quite a lot out of the pit lane, and as a result he's actually up into net P3 from P5 on the grid, and it might even be P2 as Mercedes look to get a 1-2. Of course Ferrari might want to halt that as Vettel is coming into play in this race, but you can see Bottas is going to get past Raikkonen, and Raikkonen's going to try to get him back up the inside. He actually fights him and actually slightly tags him, and as a result Raikkonen does get past, but you can see Hamilton still has got quite a big lead out front, so he did not lose out in the safety car like he has in previous races. But once again Bottas gaining, Vettel also gaining as he gets Ricciardo as they go side by side through the last corner, and Vettel will get Ricciardo in the end. Ricciardo backing out, but I think Verstappen now is going to fancy his luck on his teammate. He's going to force it up the inside. We saw, I think, Raikkonen make a move here on Perez. Verstappen's actually going to dive it up the inside of his teammate as they actually bang tyres a bit. Here you go around the outside. You can see he's trying to hold on. As you can see, is that Kevin Magnussen in P4 emerging from the pits? He's gone from 15th to 4th, and the overcut once again reigns supreme. These guys are beginning to work it out that if the longer they stay out, the less people they got battling with them in the pit lane, so the less they're held up. And Magnussen now finds himself all the way up in P4. As you can see, actually that's Perez who's actually tagging Verstappen left, right and centre. As you can see, there's actually yellow flags in sector 1 and 2 as Carlos Sainz DNFs, unfortunately. But you can see as well, Magnussen, 11 positions gained, so he's really benefited from the pit lane, and the overcut doing dividends for him. Even Gasly finds himself, well, actually, he's not exactly gained much, he's only gained on Ericsson, but still, the overcut working really well for Magnussen, and all of a sudden, he finds himself in points again, after failing to score up until last race, as Verstappen gets past Ricciardo. Of course, he got overtaken in the pit lane from Ricciardo after taking him on lap 1. But Ricciardo's not going to have that. He's going to get his teammate straight back. And this is losing time to the likes of Kevin Magnussen and the 2 Ferraris and the 2 Mercedes, as Perez also gets Verstappen. You can see Hartley as well trying to join the fun, and Hartley finds himself in the points. Of course, he was one of the guys who stayed out a lap later, but it's Magnussen who now finds himself ahead of Sebastian Vettel. Oh my goodness, on the fresh tyres he's absolutely rocketing, and Magnussen from 15th on the grid could find himself in a podium position, and he's played the strategy card completely right to this race, and all of a sudden he's actually reaping the dividends. As a result, you can see all the way up in 4th place as the battle for P2 still rages on, but Vettel, of course, he gained a lot in the pit lane, but losing out a bit now to Magnussen. Even so, he's gonna get the DRS. Even so, I think Raikkonen is actually going to try to make a move on Bottas. Bottas actually going a bit deep. Raikkonen's going to look for the move, but he actually gets covered off in the end, and Vettel also won't get the move. I think the closest right now is Perez and Ricciardo, but nothing happening there. So I don't think there's any moves on that straight. As you can see, Leclerc as well at the back of this train, actually all the way down in 13th. Of course, he lost out 7 positions in the pit lane, so he was probably one of the unluckiest drivers. So, and I think for once, I think this pit lane's really suiting the favourite teams, because the teams at the end of the pit lane have really begun to struggle. And the likes of Mercedes, Ferrari have actually done quite well, as Bottas is overtaken by Raikkonen into Maggots and Beckett. Oh my goodness, this is not a place you overtake. We've seen Verstappen do it in real life, but it's normally not a place you overtake. But Bottas he's going to take that. He's going to try to get Raikkonen straight back, and I don't know if he will. He's going to go up the inside. You can see behind, there's actually Vettel, who's actually got ahead of Magnussen already, as Bottas is going to try to do the same move, as Perez has also got ahead of Ricciardo. You can see that is Vettel ahead of Magnussen, and Ricciardo is actually going to try to battle Perez, but Perez is holding it around the outside, as actually Leclerc is going to get Van Dorn, so quite a few moves on the hanger straight. But meanwhile, this is the main battle we're actually looking at right now, because they're still side by side going to the final corner, but Perez is not going to be able to hold it around the outside of the last corner. I don't think anyone has been able to do it so far, and will Verstappen take opportunity of that like he did with his teammate? No, he won't, because he's actually got Hartley up his inside, and Brendan Hartley overtakes Verstappen into turn 1, and just like that he's up into P8. So I don't know what he's had his Weetabix today, because all of a sudden Brendan Hartley finds himself up 3 positions after qualifying at a massive 11th place. So the Kiwi for once actually doing quite well. As you can see, Raikkonen won't get Bottas back on the straight. Magnussen's going to try to get Vettel back, and Vettel's actually closing in on the battle for 2nd place. So Magnussen and Vettel could actually still have a shout at the podium right now, as Vettel defends from Magnussen very robustly in the end. Magnussen, of course, on the fresher tyres, but yeah, Magnussen and Vettel, the biggest gainers of the race so far. And Magnussen is going to try to get Vettel into Kopp's corner. This is not a place you want to overtake, but he's going to try it anyway. Vettel's going to be forced out wide, and he's going to give up the position. So Magnussen back up into the top 4. Of course, these guys need to work together if they want to catch up to the guys behind, as Gasly and Ericsson are still squabbling it at the back, but I don't really think they deserve our screen time right now, considering how badly they are doing. Even with his 5-second stop go, though, Shelley Onyx does find himself ahead of the trio at the back, even so he is unfortunately 10 seconds behind Ocon, so I think that's the most he's going to get out of this race. Meanwhile, you can see once again this is Perez up the inside of Ricciardo. As you can see, Bottas has got Raikkonen and Vettel has got Magnussen, so they keep swapping and changing positions. As you can see up ahead, Magnussen trying to get Vettel back, as Bottas will cement that position on Raikkonen. Bottas actually the biggest mover inside the podium positions after starting 5th. He's now in 2nd place, and Bottas has been able to convert lots of bad qualifyings into a good race result, as yeah, we got quite a uniform top 4 for equal parts. The 2 Ferraris and the 2 Mercedes out in front like they would be in real life, but you can see now the Kimi Räikkönen should have a chance to get Bottas, but he's got Vettel right behind him, and Vettel's on a storm. He would want a podium after starting outside the top 10. That will make his day. But you can see Räikkönen is going to try to go for a move on Bottas, and the more these guys battle, the more Hamilton's going to pull away. I mean, he's already pretty much home and dry. He's 5 seconds ahead of these guys with no more pit stops to make. But of course, it's also going to allow Vettel and Magnussen to pull to actually gain on them, and actually Magnussen and Vettel not swapping positions this time, so maybe they are trying to work together, as once again these two aren't, because you can see Raikkonen again right on the back of Valtteri Bottas, and the two Finns are really battling out for this podium, but they need to be careful now because Vettel is closing in quite quickly, and soon enough Vettel could find himself within the DRS window. As actually no, because Magnussen's trying to overtake him going into Maggots and Beckett's, and that's not going to help you guys get a podium because they now lost a few tenths there. As once again Gasly overtakes Ericsson. I don't know why he's struggling so much to overtake Ericsson, because Ericsson keeps getting him back, but I don't know, it's not been a good race for Gasly at all. As you can see, Bottas versus Raikkonen, and yeah, the two Finns now side by side, and this is going to really help Vettel close in. You can see that's 2 tenths gained already as Perez gets Hartley. I don't know how he lost out that position. You see they're still side by side, and Raikkonen's going to have to try to hold it right the outside of Bottas, and once again nobody been able to make that move stick. But now Vettel will find himself in the DRS window, gaining a whole second as a result of the battle, maybe even a second and a half as he closes up to 7 tenths. And all of a sudden the battle for P2 is hotting up between these four, and Ricciardo slightly too far back. Of course Red Bull's right now sandwiching a train, which actually also extends back all the way back to P14. So Verstappen again not really doing as well as I thought. I mean, he lost out a bit in the pit lane, but his teammate Ricciardo was side by side with him coming out the pit lane, and yet Ricciardo has been able to get a few more positions up the road. So Verstappen really struggling. So he's going to try to get Hartley, but you see again up front it's between Raikkonen and Bottas. This time Raikkonen gets a clean overtake, but Vettel is now right behind these guys, and so is Magnussen. So if Magnussen can get a podium, my goodness, that would be a hell of a comeback. You know what, you can see Ricciardo, Perez battling it for the rest of the rest right now. These guys are a bit too far behind the top 5 to really challenge, but again they're beginning to pull away from Hartley and Max Verstappen now, as Max is going to try to do a signature overtake into Maggots and Brackets. He's going to try it around the outside. He did this on Rosberg. He actually tags with Hartley. I don't know if he got damaged, as Hartley's now going to try to fight him back. Can Max cement the move? Of course he can. He's good at this move. He's done it before, and that's a hell of a move from the Dutchman to move himself up into 8th place. But I think that's the best he's going to do now, as Perez and Ricciardo are slightly too far up the road. 2.5 seconds in fact, but if they keep battling at that, maybe it is they are going to allow Verstappen back into it, as Hartley now loses that position to Hulkenberg, and he has to be careful now because he got a hungry Alonso and Leclerc, of course the top 2 in the championship, right behind him, and they'll be wanting to score points. Shelley Onyx actually closes the gap down to 5 seconds to Ocon. He's actually closing it in by the second now, so he's closing in really fast, so he can still have a shout of the top 13 as Ricciardo actually gets Perez again. But yeah, as I'm saying, Hartley needs to be really careful right now, because if he's not careful, Alonso and Leclerc might take his points positions. Even so, I think Verstappen's got to worry right now, because he is leading at the front of this pack. Of course, he's 2.5 seconds behind Perez. You can see Raikkonen is actually going to try to make a move on Bottas. Bottas is going to cover it up, and no, he's not. Raikkonen forges his way through, and that's a hell of a move from Raikkonen. As yeah, I'm glad I caught that. Even so, Hulkenberg does get Verstappen as I expected. That's the only other move on the straight, but oh wow, I'm not even on the straight. Raikkonen ballsing it up the inside of the second part of the double left-hander to actually get the position. And you see actually that's Vettel right behind Bottas, and will Vettel go for a move into Beckett's and Beckett's? We've seen a few people try it. Unfortunately the DRS is going to actually cancel out, so I think Vettel's going to have to try in the next straight. You see there's yellow flags in sector 2. I don't know what's happened there. So nobody's actually DNF'd, and no, I don't think there's anyone who's. I think it just might be a little incident, because nobody's actually lost any positions. As you can see, Raikkonen and Bottas are still battling it out. Bottas is going to pull to the inside of Raikkonen as we head on to the final lap. Can Vettel pick up the pieces as these guys go side by side? Raikkonen's going to barge Bottas out, and Vettel's going to take the slipstream. He's actually going to duck behind Bottas, which is quite unusual. I thought he would try to dive him up the inside, but no. The positions stay as they are as they head on to the final lap. Even so, it is very close, and Raikkonen's actually pulled a bit away from Bottas, as Hamilton seems well clear right now, as Hartley's actually got Verstappen as well, and Verstappen is struggling, and he might not even get points right now. He's got Alonso right behind him, and Van Dorn is also looking like he can get close to the points, because he's now right behind Alonso. So yeah, once again, Ericsson not going to score points. A whole 6 seconds behind Gasly in the end. Actually, Shani Onyx is now right behind this badgering, I don't even know, 5 cars, as Verstappen is really holding them up now, as he's actually been dropped by Hartley, and it's not been a good race by Verstappen, as Shani Onyx gets 2 in 1. I didn't really say how clean that move was, but he could actually be looking at points right now, because Verstappen's been absolutely napping. He's now 2 seconds behind Hartley, and all of a sudden Verstappen might not even get points, and that's not good at all. As you can see, Vettel now behind Bottas, who's actually completely lost out to Raikkonen, who looks like he's going to get P2 at Britain. Of course, it's a good track for Raikkonen, and you can see he's actually closing in on Hamilton now.
Why?
As Shani Onyx actually loses out in the end, he gets actually crashed, and unfortunately that will be his chance of a points position.
Idiot came up my inside.
Who was it? Leclerc?
I have no idea.
So you can see now it's actually going to be a last chance for Vettel to get a podium. Is he slipstreaming Valtteri Bottas down this long straight? Will he be able to get him? I don't think he will. Bottas is slightly too far ahead, and the podiums will stay as is with Raikkonen in P2 and Bottas in P3. But Vettel and Magnussen will be the biggest movers in the field, as Ricciardo is going to be P6, home and dry in the end, pretty much in no man's land. 2 seconds either side of him. And yeah, the rest of the top 10 really in no man's land. You can see Alonso's got Verstappen. And what's Verstappen been doing? He's been losing position after position. He's lost 2 seconds to Alonso in the final lap. And Alonso will get points and will close in on Leclerc, even if it is by a point. So that is the top 10 for you. As Sheddy Onyx very frustrated in the end, as he's only going to get P15. Which is quite disappointing because he actually did such a good comeback. But yeah, unfortunately.
What the hell?
Do you know who it was?
No, I have no idea. I took a wider line because Alonso or Van Dorn, one of the McLarens was quite slow on the apex, so I went wide so I could get a nice exit. Then someone just tagged me at the back and spun me sideways, and I lost all those places again.
Oh,
and I was right behind 10th place because there was a train of 3, 2 McLarens and Verstappen.
So yeah, now you can see probably the most common podium on the grid, well, apart from the fact Vettel's not there, the 2 Finns and Hamilton on the podium. So even so it's equal cars, some of the fastest drivers still are near the front. As we have a look onto the race results, you can see, as we skip on, you can see Hamilton in the end winning quite comfortably in his home Grand Prix. Like in China, he absolutely dominated. Not quite the 14 seconds it was at China, but still 8 seconds, a really big win in the end over Kimi Raikkonen, who actually was gaining quite fast, because I think he gained about 5/10 in the final lap. So Raikkonen did well to get P2 in the end, and he was definitely getting held up by his fellow Finn, who in the end finishes only just ahead of Vettel. I think the biggest mover has to go to Magnussen. He's taken full advantage of the pit lane, and although he didn't actually get a podium in the end, but he definitely had a chance to on the fresher tyres, he will get some valuable points, which will move him up.
Did he do the softs to mediums as well?
Yes, but he pit onto I think he pit on lap 7 or 8, it's 2 laps later than everyone else.
I was thinking of doing that. I should have done it.
Yeah, because it was much less crowded come that lap. So yeah, you can see as well. I think I would recommend that from now on, because the more people there are in the pits, because in equal cars, because they're so close, everyone's so close to each other. If there's like 8 people in the pits, everyone's going to get held. That's how it works. So you can see Perez and Hulkenberg actually losing out in the end after both qualifying in the top 4. They will finish 7th and 8th, so that is quite good. Finishing outside, of course, or still inside the mythical top 8. You can see Hartley as well will get P9 in the end. More points for the Kiwi after only scoring at Canada, really, after picking up the pieces in that race. And Alonso doing well to actually only maintain position in the end, but he was outside the points for the majority of the race. He finally got Verstappen at the end, who had a very disappointing race, to say the least, nearly getting overtaken by Van Dorn. Wow, that would have been an insult if that happened. You see, he does have the pace. He actually sets I think that is the fastest lap of the race. Actually, no, it's not, because the likes of Bottas actually. The likes of Vettel and Bottas and even Sheddy Onyx went faster. Actually, Sheddy Onyx only 3/100ths of a second faster than Vettel's fastest lap. So Vettel doing quite well there as well. As you scroll down the order, you can see Ocon, Leclerc. Leclerc actually not doing that well. As you can see the 2 Frenchmen at the bottom. Actually, all 3 Frenchmen out the points. So you head on to the standings. Once again, it's a swap for the position, as both Mercedes now, after that their double podium, are once again catapulted to 1-2 in the championship. Of course, it was Leclerc and Alonso, but they have fallen to 3rd and 5th respectively after their disappointing results. And of course, this is what happens in equal cars, because all you need is one bad result and then the championship is completely tipped over on its head. It's not quite as dramatic as last race, with some people actually keeping positions. But yeah, most of the positions have been changed once again. As you can see, Leclerc is actually P3 still, Vettel P4. So yeah, I mean, this is the top 5 you'd sort of expect. Ricciardo and Verstappen 8th and 9th respectively, outside Hulkenberg and Perez. So the 2 X-Force India teammates, showing that they are the best in the midfield, doing really well there actually, as behind of the 2 Red Bulls and Kimi Raikkonen, who with that 2nd place almost doubles his points tally to move ahead of quite a few drivers, to be honest. Carlos Sainz moves down to P11 in the end after a poor qualifying and an even poorer race result. Hartley actually moves up a few positions, actually overtakes 2 of the Frenchmen.
That's because Sainz DNF.
And actually, Ocon is actually the worst of the Frenchmen. He actually gets overtaken by Kevin Magnussen, who gets a really good result. I think that's actually by the looks of it. I mean, he he came 6th, so of course he got 9th last time. So it's only his 2nd points finish, but he's now up on 10 points. As we scroll down, you can see towards the back we have Stradionix on 8, Van Dorn on 8, and at the bottom Ericsson actually has points. So I don't know where he's got that from.
Everyone has points.
See, everyone has points now, even so I don't know where Ericsson got his points
Ericsson
from.
probably got it from Canada.
No, I think he got it from Austria, but I thought I wrote him off after not getting points, but I think he still managed to come back into the points in the end. In the constructors, the only big move is Ferrari, who actually jumped Red Bull and Renault by quite a way in the end after Mercedes and Ferrari dominated up front. But this is what you sort of expect to see come 2020. The top 4 teams being probably the top 4 teams currently, and probably for the next few years, as McLaren and Alfa Romeo and Force India will pick up the pieces. But unfortunately, Toro Rosso, Haas and Williams struggling as they normally do in real life. Even so, Haas actually doing quite disappointingly. And so Magnussen is beginning to come into his own now, proving that he is towards the front of the midfield. But that's going to be it for this episode. See you next time, and I think that will be at Spa.
Belgium?
So yeah, Belgium. So yeah, see you then.